We had a great conversation. It was for 2 hours and 15 minutes. They just put out a clear tape of it, a perfect tape of it. But yeah, I think I sounded, somebody said your voice was distorted or something. And you know, I guess it happens. Look, it was such a big thing, such a big audience, but I would have loved to have seen the clear tape originally. They put it out right after the show, so now it's a clear tape where a perfect tape done there.
Yeah.
But when it goes through different phone systems and everything else, you think if we were together, that doesn't happen then? Because I think his voice was more clear.
Donald Trump might just be the most insecure person on the planet. Every time he's caught in a scandal, he resorts to using the same defensive language. In his recent interview with Elon Musk, Trump bizarrely described the released recording as perfect. Sound familiar? It's eerily similar to his description of the infamous calls with Brad Raffensperger and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, which he also labeled as perfect. This repeated use of perfect isn't just a quirk, it's a glaring red flag. It reveals Trump's deep-seated insecurity and his desperate attempt to cover up his mistakes. The truth is, the interview with Elon Musk was a train wreck, and Trump knows it. As his campaign crumbles and his poll numbers plummet, his desperate self-defense only underscores his mounting panic. Dive into the shocking details of Trump's latest attempt to salvage his failing campaign.
Well, I think the people like me.
Oh, yeah, the people.
We're leading now in all the polls. We're leading, and Rasmussen just came out a little while. Rasmussen's a very highly regarded poller. We're leading by 5 points. Rasmussen poll. And others also, and we're doing well. But I think the people like me a lot.
Donald Trump's latest outburst is a glaring display of his deep-seated insecurity. In a cringeworthy moment, he insists, "Oh, people do like me. People really like me." But the harsh reality is starkly different. In 2020, a staggering 81 million Americans rejected him, voting to kick him out of the White House. And come November, an even larger wave of voters is set to ensure he never steps foot in the Oval Office again as we rally behind Kamala Harris. What's truly laughable, though, is Trump's desperate reliance on Rasmussen, a notoriously biased, right-leaning pollster. This is the same pollster that consistently inflates Trump's numbers, and the fact that he's clinging to it is telling. It's a clear sign that Trump is grasping at straws, as every other reputable poll shows him plummeting. But polls are just one piece of the puzzle. We must remain vigilant and fight fiercely to elect Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, watching Trump's campaign unravel in the polls is a bittersweet victory. His increasing madness and bizarre statements are a direct result of the pressure he's under running against Harris. The more he flails, the more it becomes clear Trump's campaign is collapsing, and it's driving him to the brink of insanity.
You're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be probably constitutional. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. All of a sudden, they're telling him to get out, or they threatened him.
But who are they
and he is
when they say that?
An angry person. Well, I would say Schumer, Pelosi, and numerous other people. The heads of the Democrat Party.
Yeah. Thugs.
And they did. They threatened him violently, I think. And he didn't want to get out. Remember, he said, "Only God will get me out," right? Only God will get me.
Somebody dressed up like God and just chased him out of there.
Yeah, and what happened is they went to him and they said, this was after the debate. Now, if he didn't have the debate, he would still be running.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's latest comments on the transition of power, labeling it as a threat to democracy, reveal just how far removed he is from reality. This is coming from the man who attempted a coup to overturn a legitimate election. Trump's attacks on President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris show not only his blatant disregard for democratic principles, but also his fundamental misunderstanding of selflessness and patriotism. While Joe Biden chose to pass the torch to Kamala Harris out of a profound love for his country and respect for the presidency, Trump's response exposes his inability to grasp such noble values. Biden's decision to support Harris reflects a deep commitment to the nation, something Trump simply cannot comprehend. But the shock doesn't stop there. In a moment of unintentional humiliation, comedian Theo Von exposed Trump's ignorance in a recent interview. The clip that follows is a cringe-worthy yet unforgettable display of Trump's disconnect and arrogance. Watch the video to see how Trump's embarrassing blunder unfolded.
We have murderers in our country now.
I don't think people should be allowed to be in our country if they're criminals.
Well, then you're going to be very unhappy to know that we have a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of murderers. We have people, drug dealers talking about drugs.
Imagine this. Someone looks you dead in the eyes and declares, "I don't think criminals should be allowed in our country." The shocker? The very person making this statement is sitting across from a convicted criminal, none other than Donald Trump himself. Yes, you heard that right. While condemning criminals, Trump is the literal embodiment of the very criminal he denounces. How can you advocate for a nation free of criminals while hosting a criminal on your podcast? The easiest solution would be to ask Trump to leave your studio. Yet, incredibly, he continues to embrace this stance. The MAGA Republican Party is notorious for its tough-on-crime rhetoric and support for law enforcement, all while its leader, Trump, stands as a convicted felon. Trump's reaction? Initially stunned, he quickly doubles down, aligning himself with the anti-criminal narrative. The irony is staggering. Trump's agreement with this narrative, despite his own criminal past, is nothing short of outrageous. The hypocrisy is mind-blowing, and it's on full display right here.
The lower cost of drugs, those are things that
because I got insulin down and they took credit for it. But I got it down to $35. And I said, I hope I win because somebody's going to take credit. It takes a period of time before it kicks in, statutorily. And I got it down to $35, which is a very low price. And they took credit for it, which is, now I'm taking credit because I'm talking to you. I'll tell you what, if she's the worst vice president ever, he's the worst president ever, a deadly combination. And we have a country where the borders are bad, where the world is blowing up. You look at Israel, you look at Ukraine, you look at all the different things that are happening. She has no clue. And you know what I say about her? Why don't you do it? She complains about everything.